Hello, Fraser here. I've been thinking more about that title for my blog, and something popped into my head today, and I was thinking the daily find. Not sure. Kind of like the sound of it. I was thinking find of the day, but that implies I can get out every day, and I can't. So I think the daily find, or maybe find of the day. Find of the day, because I can't get out every day. I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I've come out for a quick look post very, very high winds yesterday. Just walking across the car park, and car coming up behind me. Walking into what's known as the Dinton Activity Centre, which is on the east side of the largest lake of Dinton Parches, Black Swan Lake. And I'm going to have a little look through some gulls. My hope, the aim is to check for med gulls. As you can see, it's rather nice and sunny. Last night it was absolutely blowing a gale, and had I been able to get out this morning, I'd have been out first thing looking for obscure inland birds. Last year I was lucky enough to find a kittiwake, but that wasn't until April the 30th. But I've seen kittiwake in January before, and I suspect no one was out because Sanford Lane was flooded. In fact, where I'm walking now, I'm going to make out this behind me. The path's flooded in front of me, but not so much that I can't walk through. Splash, splash, across the bridge. Unfortunate thing is I'm looking into the sun, so I'm going to have to walk down the path a little bit, see what I can find. I've got the adapter finally on the phone, so the worst case scenario, at least I'll be able to show you a few things a bit close up for a change. Catch in a few minutes, and here we go. Just to do a little pan across the lake, so right to left, looking across Black Swan. It's all going to go very glary as I look into the sun, but probably I can't see many gulls at the moment. They obviously haven't started coming in yet. They're starting to gather, but I'll have a quick look. If not, we'll head over to the bottom of the car park field again. Anyway, looking over there, right of me, that's the activity centre. They want to build a new one. You can see just over in the middle, that's the climbing wall that they put in. Beautiful construction that is. And beyond that is the old golf course. And just panning around here, you can probably just about make out a few gulls coming in from the east. And, still breezy, but nothing like last night's gale. Let's see what happens. Just thought I'd give you a very quick snapshot of the River Embrook, which is flooded. And it's looking north and back through the old boat stores up to the activity centre again. It's relatively flooded. It did burst its banks last night. It's over the road. I'll show you that shortly. So I've just been asking myself, who cares about a slightly flooded river? Well, I do, because it impacts where I can access on the park. We are flanked by this little Embrook and the River Loddon, and the Embrook floods across Sanford Lane here, and as you can see by the signs, they're saying it's closed. It is actually just passable because I've just come through there. So that's looking west, and to the right, the trees just there is Lavels Lake. Other side of the hedgerow is my good old car park field, which I'll walk across in a moment. And there's yours truly's car, and looking east back up Sanford Lane. Not much more I can really say about that, but we'll have a look down the field, see what we can see, down to the landfill, look across, keep our fingers crossed, maybe we'll bump into a golden plover. Yeah, right, so we're going through one of those kissing gate things. If you don't know what a kissing gate is, then I guess look behind me. It's this kind of mechanism where it's basically to stop people on motorbikes getting into footpaths and stuff like that. And they mostly work. And so I'm going to have to position the camera a little bit because the sun is right behind me. And whatever. So, heading down the car park field. I guess I'm used to doing this nearly every time I come here. I do vary it, and it does vary depending on the time of year, how much time I spend in different parts of the park. We're all faced with a choice where you look for I've said numerous times, I forget how many acres the whole of the park covers, plus Lee Farm, but Black Swan's apparently about roughly 3 miles around, and the whole of the park, therefore, I guess must be about 5-ish, maybe slightly more if you go right out to the western extremes. But to be totally frank, my whole point about this is that we don't cover the entire park. There just isn't time to do it all. It's hard to cover even a smallish area like this one. So we focus and cherry pick the areas where perhaps we think the habitats are best. We believe we are, because those are the areas we concentrated on trying to improve the habitat. But as was proven when Richard found the firecrest back on the 17th of December, if you do visit areas, he goes through there because his house is near there, so he was just starting his trip through from the west side. He found firecrest there. I refound it on the 30th, and it was seen on the 31st. Hasn't been seen this year, but I believe it's surely got to be around here somewhere. Maybe not here, but on the park somewhere. So now I've finally got the adapter for this thing. I'm going to show you the difference, not necessarily specifically looking at a bird at this instance, but just to show you the difference of being able to attach it to some decent optics. Mine's a Swarovski telescope. So here's just the raw phone as I used it the other day. We're more or less looking north now, and through to Lodgewood in the middle under the big cloud, right of that down to the hills at the back and the oak tree. Now here are those hills through my telescope, and you can see straight away there's a red kite in the foreground. Just handheld, I'm just panning around. A little harder to do this in landscape mode, but I've made reference to the golden plover that can move up and down the valley. They fly pretty much just in front of the hills at the back there. And not quite the right time for them. You can see that heat haze, that's the methane burner from the tip. I'm sure I've mentioned the tip before. There's the oak tree, and up on the right, sort of second big branch up on the bottom right of that oak tree, there's an old hole which used to have little owls in. I'm not bothering with focus at the moment, but so the vents, the black things with the metal sort of attachments to them, they are the methane vents. And this, I think, has some effect on the birds that visit the area. Just panning on some lapwing here now, just getting out of view again. It's very hard to scope moving birds, so these are lapwing. I'll do a freeze frame in edit mode, and we'll tell you all about why they are lapwing. That's because I'm not really focusing on focus right now, but just the way they fly, turn in the air, the black and white change of colours, it tells us what they are. And when you catch them in the sunlight, like my good friend Jeff did in a photograph recently, he's put it on Facebook. Yeah, beautiful things. And they are just falling out of the sky. They're probably just going through evasive manoeuvres. We know there's a peregrine in the area. I don't know if he's around today. What I'm trying to catch views of now, just seeing the odd one flicking through. I need to do this with my glasses, but we've got quite a little population of Meadow Pipits and pied wagtail, and rubbish editing. There's about 100 of each bouncing around, and Not the easiest thing to capture in a digiscope thing, which is what we call it when we put a phone onto something like a scope. There was tons of them a moment ago. We just get on the bins. Anyway, for those that don't know, the pied wagtail is basically a grey, white and black bird with a long tail. Meadow pipit is what many would call LBJ. So you can see the pied wags flying out. Quite a few of them moving right to left. All of, no doubt, attracted by the presence of the sheep. So yeah, pied wags, grey, white and black. Meadow pipits coming under the greater title of LBJ, little brown jobs. But they're a similar sized bird, not as long tail, but very brown and speckly and buffy colours. And they're the only two small birds we usually get out on the landfill. If we're dead lucky, we might get finches. Goldfinches don't typically land on the ground, they're in the bushes. And that will probably remain the case unless we fluke incredibly, well, for our standards, a very, very rare water pipit, but we haven't had one since the 80s, so we're going to have to be pretty lucky. I'd like to just pause because wherever you're viewing this in the world, we have been fortunate, in my opinion, to have the rise and rise of red kites, and they're big, longer winged than a buzzard. They are pretty much 99.8 or 99.999 scavengers, which means they don't eat live prey. Not to come up with a contentious subject, but some gamekeepers think that they take partridges, and whilst that may be true in a very fractional number of cases, they do not on the whole take live prey. So if you read that, they're lying. Not so easy once they leave the lower ground. But lucky for us, they do cruise around over the landfill, picking up worms and other things. So does that make me a liar to say that they eat worms? It's certainly not pigeons or pheasants or partridges. Anyway, it's a rather nice sunny afternoon. So I have been thinking, I want there to be something great to reflect on every single time, but that just is not a realistic expectation. But it'd be good. I'm just checking out a buzzard right now, and it's fine. I'm still think I'm going to run with find of the day, because every day doesn't have to be rare, like I said before. It's just how you view things, and there's a life lesson for you. Life is how you view it. And today we've had a lovely big flock of meadow pipits, big flock of pied wagtails, tons of kites up, buzzard just now. I just had a sparrowhawk distantly over Lodgewood, and yeah, it's been nice. It's, at the end of the day, it's better than standing in the rain, and any sunny day is a good one. I don't mind standing in the rain. Well, I don't like it either, but I'd rather sit and hide. My point is, any day where I get to go birding is a good one. With the exception of needing to sleep when it gets dark. Not when it gets dark, but the need to sleep, need to eat, and spend a degree of time with my family. I could pretty much stand and, well, not stand, but I could watch the skies all the time. You get a kind of, not so much a feel, but you just sort of make a judgment call. Is there much going on? and they sort of come in waves. And today it's not especially active. What you would expect to be out here is out here. I'm still waiting for my first kestrel for the year. They've become one of the hardest to see resident birds in the area now. Loss of grasslands, too much development, too many houses. Local authority doesn't care. They just want to put as many houses as they can on all the land around here. East of here, the village of Hurst, they've already got plans in place to build over much of it. I want to start banging on too heavily at this point in time about how I feel about it, but I do feel sad that the local authority does not wish to keep any proper wild space free apart from the country park. But I can tell you now that if you leave the only green space to be recreational country park and leave no wild space, and even the farmland is built on, it's going to have a even worse effect than the last 50 years of development has had and overpopulation has had on wildlife, in particular birds, across the world. If we just end up with these lakes and the country park, and that's the only wild areas, that will have an incredibly detrimental effect on the birds that visit us, because you have to have neighbouring land and different habitats to make the whole thing a diverse set of habitats that support multiple species. So I can only hope and pray that they stop somewhere. I'm not confident that's going to happen. So I'm just wrapping up now. I've got to get ready to head back, pick up my boy from school. So I'm wishing everyone well, wishing them great birding. This is the find of the day. I'm Fraser Cottington. Stay well. So off we go back to the car and across the car park field, looking into the sun. Something nice about having the sun on your face, regardless if it's cold. I'm sure those people who live in Europe who dress up with the right clothes for cold weather will tell you, we'll take it. Sunny day, no worries. Like I said, I don't mind any weather. Certain weather can bring good birds in. Inland sites don't sort of witness that as much as those on the coast. But either way, it's only weather. We have an obsession with weather in this country. And a lot of people are never happy. I'm happy. I'm always happy when I'm birding. I will reminisce for a moment. Just across there, that bush nearest to me, directly opposite, several years ago, I think it was 2013, 12 or 13, I was standing here, well I was walking here, I'd just been chopping off some branches, doing some trimming of some vegetation to make it easier to stand where I've just been stood. Walking back, I had my hands full of equipment, my scope and bins were with me, didn't have a hand free to lift them up though, so I dropped everything, picked up the scope, bins, checked, thought the way that came off the ground, that was just weird. I was about to meet a friend of mine and phoned him, said, can I be a couple of minutes? Something just came off the ground, I don't know what it was a bit weird, just waiting to get it. Need to check, it is the 29th of August, you know, I'd be devastated if I missed a wryneck and then it moved. I said, oh hang on, it's just moved, it's probably just a greenfinch, but I refocused the scope. Now that moment, I can't really repeat the word I said at the moment. As I focused, turned the barrel on the scope, this beautiful face of a wryneck was staring at me. And that's the species that had been evading me for about 20 odd years. So it's safe to say I was just a smidge on the jubilant side. So goodbye to the car park and car park field for one more day. I'll see what I can get out tomorrow and be happy, safe journeys. See you later.